equals on the 10th of February, the 15th Airshow India will be grandly opened at Yelahanka Air Force Base in Bangalore, an important city in the Indian state of Karnataka. As India's largest airshow, this edition of the Indian Airshow is expected to bring together various types of advanced aviation equipment from two major powers, the US and Russia, such as the US F-35 fighter jets. The Indian Air Force Chief of Staff Amar Singh and India's Chief of Defence Staff Anil Chauhan is reported to be in the air show. Personally driving a two-seater LC fighter jet liftoff performance is the most record of the air show. It is reported that Russia's defense export group in this airshow elite sent to the S-400, S-350 and other representatives of the air defense system, T-90M and BMP-3M, and other representatives of the ground combat system in kind or model form. And last November, just after participating in the Juhai Air Show, Bogdan has already piloted Su-57 Fighter 054 prototype once again flew to Bangalore to participate in the 15th Indian Air Show. At present, the front exhibitors have broken out Bogdan driving Su-57 fighter jet landed. Familiar with the site of the flight show, Su-57 fighter jet, and the United States F-35 fighter jet, accidentally in the same frame of the photos. Bogdan and Juhai Air Show, driving Su-57 fighter staged dry land pulling onions, Super Cobra, Herbst, a whole set of actions in line with the flow, known as the Slavic TIG flying saucer, and after the landing and the F-35 fighter same frame, is more people out of thin air, a lot of emotion. Su-57 fighter is probably the first to do at the same time, and the other two fifth-generation fighters in the same field of the aircraft type. The scene cannot help but let people this scene can't help but make people go back to last year's Juhai. The Russian aviation industry sent Su-57 fighters flying show, as well as Su-570 fighters on the ground static exhibition, and there are even rumors that the Aeroflot consortium, even the full-scale model of the Su-75 fighters were sent to the Bangalore Air Show to go up, obviously not just to give everyone a fresh look, this is to promote the aircraft. In a sense, the Su-57 to Bangalore Air Show exhibition considerations, and the F-35 fighter over the exhibition considerations are exactly the same, are to fight for the Indian Air Force on the fifth-generation fighter orders. After all, from the point of view of the Indian Air Force's current spectrum of equipment, it can be said that there has been a serious generational turnover problem. The IAF's generational turnover problem is, to a large extent, being seriously weighed down by two types of aircraft. The first is the home-built LCA fighter. Logically, LCA fighters should have started equipping troops and replacing the original MiG-21 bis in bulk around 2000, but due to long delays in research and development, the number of units equipped until 2020 was less than one squadron, and even now the total number of units equipped and in combat strength is even less than 40. Meanwhile, the LCA is also affected by the delivery of the US-supplied F-404 series turbofan engine, which has caused a serious bottleneck in production capacity. Secondly, it is affected by its own medium-sized fighter aircraft procurement program, as we mentioned before. The IAF had originally planned to start procuring more than 100 medium-sized fighters in the early 10s to replace its own Mirage 2000s, MiG-29s and Jaguars, among other fighters. But this plan is much delayed for many years, until 2020, only began to deliver the first batch of Rafale fighters. The number of deliveries is only a squadron. What the IAF will do with the follow-on is unclear. After all, France's Dassault Rafale is also on a tight schedule, and doesn't have that much capacity to give to India. It is because of the major mistakes in the decision-making on the LCA fighter and the medium fighters that have brought serious consequences to the IAF in the form of one wrong step and one slow step. The first is that the Indian Air Force so far can not get rid of the MiG-21 bis, MiG-29 and Mirage 2000 such backward models, and even had to continue to pay for these models to extend the life of the technical upgrades, a waste of military expenditure, after all, after upgrading the use of not many years. Secondly, the Indian Air Force has long invested funds in these fourth-generation fighters, which has led to a serious lack of investment in research and development of fifth-generation fighters, and so far the Indian Air Force's fifth-generation fighters are still on paper, and next door to the Pakistani Air Force at all times may get to the fifth-generation fighters represented by the FC-31. The third is that the Indian Air Force cannot get through the chain of fourth-generation fighter research and development. Even the fourth-generation aircraft research and development and batch production cannot figure out talk about research and development of fifth-generation aircraft. Now for the Indian Air Force, as soon as possible to get the fifth-generation fighters, has been comparable to the matter of the fire. No one would think that the IAF really believes that with the 2 squadrons of Rafale fighters at hand, it can really cope with the threat of the fifth-generation fighters of the northern powers, or even the Pakistani Air Force's fifth-generation fighters in foreign trade. So if Bogdan came to Zhuhai in his Su-57 fighter, 50% of the facet was to have a good time, and 50% of the facet was to show it off to the landed princes of the Middle East. For the vast majority of the audience at the China Air Show, getting Bogdan's autograph is far more interesting than buying an Su-57. This time Bogdan flew Su-57 south to India, even Su-57E and Su-75 double aircraft, that is really to India, to sell. This side dares to sell, that side dares to buy. If you buy it, is it a threat to us? It is really not too good to say. Before India and Russia in the fifth-generation fighter aircraft between the cooperation itself is not too happy, and India has been pitched once. When Russia started the PAC-EFA project when the world to find a partner, and found China and India, China already has a J-20 fighter development program, and then the Russian mouth of cooperation, in the end is what cooperation law is clear, and therefore did not join. India is very quickly on the hook. In 2008, the two sides signed a government memorandum of understanding. The decision to jointly invest in the development of the fifth-generation fighter aircraft. India was quick to take the bait. However, due to the price difference between India and Russia is too big, this Russian-Indian joint development of fifth-generation fighters soon stalls. India's idea is very strange, and even intends to engage in a between the fighter and fighter bomber things. For this even want to change the cockpit into side-by-side two-seater, and at the same time, India also intends to take the opportunity to grasp the fifth-generation fighter research and development and production technology. Therefore, India's technical share of the proportion of higher requirements, the requirements of at least get a prototype, get the design parameters of the prototype, the requirement to set up assembly plant production in India, etc. In short, it is running to the Russia to grips clean past, and Russia is obviously not a stub. You are looking at his profits, he is looking at your principal. In fact, only want India to help out a little R&D costs, to solve the problem of Russia's future tactical aerospace aircraft systems program lack of funds. As for other technology transfer, Russia does not think it is necessary to India. After all, India, this level of technology you transferred to him, and so on. India, this level of technology you transfer to him he does not understand. So the two sides on this issue for a long time to talk about it, and even the Russian prototypes built out of the Indian people even cannot see. You give me the money, I get out of the products sold to you on the line, for India which can be accepted. So the two sides to fight the war of words played for many years. To the 2015 India has basically completely withdrawn from Russia's fifth-generation fighter project, but the next fifth-generation fighter research and development route of India, how to go? India's fifth-generation fighter research and development route, how to go? India itself do not understand, put forward a lot of PPT, but one has not been realized. The Bangalore Air Show, it is said that India has shown a new PPT, but also rubbed an extremely rough model placed in the exhibition hall. It is clear that India wants to rely on these PPT to the outside world to show that India also has its own fifth-generation fighter plan, can be used to give you the US and Russia to kill the price. But with India's current performance of this research and development capabilities, the United States and Russia can eat this set of India, is not good to say. The Big Ivan feel no play. So even though India and Russia have been pitched back and forth several times on the development of fifth-generation fighters, India itself has been completely unable to come up with a fifth-generation fighter, and now that the IAF's generational replacement problem has reached a fever pitch, outsourcing fifth-generation fighters may be an option of last resort. And between the United States and Russia's two fifth-generation fighters, F-35 a fighter performance is no problem, but the United States is absolutely impossible to this most fat piece of fat meat to India. After all, how many years of Loma's cash flow depends on this one project which can be India's turn to meddle. At the same time, F-35 a fighter jet production scheduling is also very tight. The partners are India. If the order now, high and low will have to wait until after 2030 to get the product completely do not catch up. Besides, India may not want to be tied so tightly with the United States, after all, and their own non-aligned strategy. The intention of the Indo-Pacific strategy to develop their own strength does not match. Then, in the self-developed 5th-generation aircraft did not fall from the United States to buy 5th-generation fighters, may not be the case. Leaving India's options may be only one, that is, also back to go, from Russia to buy 5th-generation fighters. At least Russia's capacity to make do, buy and deliver, which is the factor that Bogdan flew Su-57 fighters south to Bangalore.